Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new week of game session, and today we are going to check out Devil May Cry 3. Excuse me. Now the reason we're taking a look at it, obviously the reboot DMC from Ninja Theory just came out, and I thought it'd be cool to kind of take a look back at the old ones and see if they really are these masterpieces that everybody says they were, and what really were they all about. And you know, people were complaining so much about this new one, so let's see how much the gameplay holds up and stuff. Now, for anybody asking, this is not the HD collection. We're gonna skip over this, just get right to the fighting. This is not the HD collection. This is the old PS2 version, so we're going as old school as possible. Whoa, something happened. Alright. Red orbs. Now I'm gonna play this on a different difficulty just because if you saw my Beautiful Joe video, you know I'm not exactly the best at these kind of games. So just here to have fun, check out how the gameplay holds up and everything. I will say the one thing about this is that the guns feel like they have more power to them. And the new ones, I actually just beat Devil May Cry, or the DMC. If you're watching this on Monday on YouTube, then I had just beat it on Saturday, 26th. So I am like fresh off the new game, and I played it on Nephilim, which was kind of the hardest difficulty that the game had out of the box, and it really didn't provide that much of a challenge. And I know these were obviously a lot more challenging, hence why I'm playing it on a lower difficulty, not any kind of crazy difficulty. I will say one thing that's really annoying is the camera is quite a problem. First of all, it's backwards with the way you control it. And we'll skip this. If you want to play, you can check it out for yourself. Mission clear. How easy was that? I got an A ranking, yeah. I think I'm gonna do a lot better in this one than I will in Beautiful Joe. But the camera is a real problem, at least initially. Because it's the old inverted controls. Left is right, right is left, and it's not always behind your back, so it's really kind of hard to reorient yourself. I'm gonna check the options real quick. All right, we're back, and I tried to change the camera around, but it was not going. So I'm just gonna have to just deal with it. The other thing that a lot of people were complaining about, obviously, was the lock-on. There was no lock-on feature, and I just sort of feel like that was kind of a gameplay mechanic that is sort of an old-school design thing. Like, there are no games these days, really, if we're, being honest, that have a lock-on camera. I mean, like, Ocarina of Time, when they remade it on the 3DS, I believe had one. But, like, other than that, it did not really have one. Gosh, the camera is a real problem, I'm telling you. When you get used to reorienting yourself where the camera is behind you, it's really annoying to have it in front of you where you can't really see what you're doing. I got a vital star. But I feel like the action is similar. The feel of the game definitely, as far as the moves go and the controls, outside of the camera, everything else feels real good. It holds up, I think. So, okay, we got our first boss fight here. Oh man, this guy reminds me a little bit of the new character from Darksiders. I don't know. I didn't play the second one, but kind of the purple death. Okay, this is a little too easy. I might change it up to normal just to crank up the difficulty because this is really easy. But man, how much does that suck about the THQ thing? I don't know how many of you guys out there follow the game industry, but THQ last week kind of went under. We're going to skip that. Went under, and they had all their studios sold off, all their
it's been nearly a year since we
basically all their studios, any kind of games they were working on, they got sold off, auction to different whoever would bid. So that's kind of unfortunate. And I guess the reason why I'm bringing this up is the guys that made the Darksider games did not get bought out. They were the only studio that did get bought out of all the assets that THQ had, which is kind of sad. I know that those games didn't sell gangbusters, but they didn't necessarily flop either. I think they just didn't sell as much as they needed to turn a profit. Sorry if you guys are interested in watching the cutscenes. I just think it's kind of boring to watch a cutscene. You can go on YouTube and watch the cutscenes, but it's all about the gameplay here. So, customize. I want to see if I can change the difficulty, change my style. So there's no stances in the new DMC either. Devil arms. No stances. It's pretty much just whatever you got. Stinger. Yes. Stinger. R1. Forward on the left analog stick. Okay. Triangle. That is definitely in the game. Don't have quite enough to upgrade those. Let us go. It's kind of funny and how similar in design Beautiful Joe and Devil May Cry are, in the sense that you collect things throughout the stage. It's an action game. You upgrade, you can get new abilities and stuff like that. Well, apparently there's no way to change the difficulty, so I'm just gonna have to kick ass here because it's gonna be a little easy, but no matter. Whoa, hey guy, hey. But yeah, to go back to the lock-on thing, I don't know how big of a deal that really is, because like I said, I think most action games these days have figured a way to do a lock-on without it being so obvious. Like, oh look, I'm locking onto the enemy. See the little circle? Like, I think a lot of action games just don't need that. And again, I say this again. The guns are so much more powerful, at least Ebony and Ivory are, than the DMC reboot, because they're fun to juggle and like get your style meter up. But man, they don't really contribute a lot to the damage, as far as doing a lot of damage, because you can sit there and shoot a guy all day and they won't do a lot of damage. The only thing they were really good for, I felt like, was maybe if you're shooting a guy, like the little babies in the air, those things were really easy to kill. They didn't have a lot of hit points, so those were easy to take down. Or the harpies were really annoying in the new game. So those were fairly easy. See, we get a shotgun. You do get a shotgun in the new game, which is probably my favorite gun. The new gun that I hate is that there's a gun. It's basically like a grenade launcher, but you have to detonate them. And the way, if you put a custom control on it, it's really hard to get them to detonate. You have to press like think of like pressing triangle and X at the same time. It's really hard to do. So that gun just didn't seem like it was worth it to me. I usually use Ebony and Ivory or something else. Let's see, a device that seems to be reacting to the sword's power. Ooh, opened it up. And the other thing I would say about the old DMC compared to this new one, or this one compared to the new one, is that If you remember, or maybe you don't know, but originally the first Devil May Cry game was designed to be Resident Evil 4, and so it had a very, labyrinthian design to it, in that you were in a castle and you were doing all kinds of like puzzle solving. Whereas this new one, the puzzles are few and far between for sure, but so the new one is definitely designed as an action game from the ground up. It is not supposed to be some kind of like action horror title like Devil May Cry was originally supposed to be. Like I said, Resident Evil 4, but it got so far off track from being like a Resident Evil game that they just kind of made it its own thing, which is ironic because I feel like the new games could almost be, we should have done that in a way, that they're so far off from the Resident Evil games. I mean, they have the same characters, obviously, but I mean, you're like bulldog slamming enemies into the ground. You're doing like wrestling moves on zombies and stuff. I mean, it's just silly at some points. But it's fun. I mean, I argue that while it's definitely not a good Resident Evil game, Resident Evil 6, in my oh so humble and probably not agreed with opinion, that Resident Evil 6 was still a fun game, just a bad Resident Evil game. I think most people would agree that it's definitely a bad Resident Evil game, but maybe it's got some fun aspects. I mean, the controls were so much fun. You had so much more control over what you were doing. Like, you could dive and you could do all sorts of crazy stuff with Leon. You could dive on the ground and you can roll around and you could do all sorts of fun stuff. So the other thing too about this new DMC is that it's got the whip, the kind of whip mechanics. I don't know what you want to call those. The chains that what we got here. 4 of these to form a blue orb. A blue orb. A blue orb got Resident Evil on the mind. Am I gonna cure some poison? I don't quite know what's up there. Does not have double jump yet, although I don't know when you do get that. Statue. Let's see if I can get double jump or if it's there or not. Actions. Air hike. I'm guessing this is a... what is this? Press the midair. Oh, here you go. Here's a double jump. Don't have enough. Too much. 2,000. I'll have to get that some other time. And it's too easy. I don't really need to buy items, I don't think. Alright, that's going to do it for this episode of Game Session with Devil May Cry 3. Tune in next time and we will see what's inside this cave.